Luo Xie is a primordial Dao body, cultivating the highest Wudang techniques. The scripture of the universal Dao holds unparalleled spiritual power. Under the control of Luo Xie, the Qilin manifestation directly suppresses and eliminates the malefic Qi Black Long. At this point, the malevolent Qi entangling chairperson Yao has been thoroughly removed and cleaned. Then Yao saw that the situation had been resolved. He was extremely grateful to Luo Xie. Later, Luo Xie informed Ting Hu of the specific location for relocation and asked for Ting Hu's help in handling it. After giving instructions, Luo Xie then stepped out and left. He turned back and said, "The payment for this time is considered as 300,000, and it must be in cash." The reason is that he doesn't have a bank account himself. Bin Yao naturally agreed to this payment. After he left the store, another merit descended from the sky. For Luo Xie now, the energy of merit is his only cultivation need. After getting on the car, Luo Xie held a bag of money and asked the driver to take him directly to the moon-grasping pavilion. And this moon-grasping pavilion is the place of Luo Xie's landlord, Hoarfrost Ma. Inside the moon-grasping pavilion, Hoarfrost Ma is discussing with his father about the house Luo Xie rented. If he doesn't pay the rent again, he plans to make Luo Xie move out. But his father naturally disagrees with that. Just at that moment, the secretary rushed over to inform Hoarfrost Ma that a Mr. Xie wanted to see her. After entering the room, Luo Xie placed a bag containing cash on the table. Then he said, "Last month's, this month's, and next month's rent are all here. You won't need to come to me so diligently in the future." After saying that, he pulled open the zipper of the bag, revealing a bag full of cash inside. All viewers, you've seen this now. Why not hit the subscribe button? Please click on it. Hoarfrost Ma is looking at a large amount of cash in front of him. Hoarfrost Ma asked in surprise, "Is this from President Li of Yuehai Corporation?" Luo Xie then said, "He is the chairman of their group. The issue lies with Chairperson Yao." Manager Li heard Luo Xie's words. Hoarfrost Ma suddenly remembered what his father had said, that Luo Xie from Wudang Mountain was a highly cultivated person, who refused to accept house rent money. She then asked thoughtfully, "Mr. Xie, do I still look like someone who has experienced bloodshed disaster?" And Luo Xie beside her calmly said, "You can't save someone who's determined to dig their own grave." Saying the same thing twice is already too much. Take care of yourself. After saying that, he took the receipt handed to him by the secretary and left the office of Hoarfrost Ma. In a dimly lit room, Haiming Tang, the owner of the Fortune and Antiquity Pavilion, is speaking cautiously with a man surnamed Huang, he said. The moon-grasping pavilion was already on the verge of closure. No one expected that the young maid surnamed Ma would bring it back to life, and even elevate the moon-grasping pavilion to a new level. After listening to the report, the man surnamed Huang hung up the phone directly. A cruel smile appeared on the corner of his mouth as he looked at the incense burner and the yellow paper figure in front of him. He picked up the paper figure directly. He pushed the paper figure into the incense burner, then lit 3 sticks of incense and inserted them into the middle of the paper figure. He formed hand seals and saw a faint green mist rising from the incense burner. Hoarfrost Ma in the moon-grasping pavilion suddenly froze in shock. She found herself enveloped in the green mist. She felt as if her body had been hollowed out, collapsing to the ground. At this moment, she finally remembered Luo Xie's mention of the bloodshed disaster and felt the rapid passing of life. Up to now, she still didn't know what the reason was. Just as Luo Xie walked out of the building, he seemed to sense something. He turned his head and looked up. He said, "Although you are shrouded by a calamitous star, it is actually related to those practicing Dao cultivation." He quickly entered the house. At this moment, Hoarfrost Ma was lying on the ground, barely alive. Luo Xie quickly drew a talisman in the air. The talismans and charms enveloped directly around Hoarfrost Ma, keeping the eerie green mist at bay. At the other end, man surnamed Huang also felt something unusual at this moment. He directly increased the spell's strength. He said, There are actually other Dao cultivation practitioners interfering. The collision of two forces made Hoarfrost Ma extremely painful. Luo Xie witnessed this. Luo Xie took out the talismans and charms he carried with him directly. He rapidly changed his hand gestures to form the madras. The madras swiftly evolved the green mist surrounding Hoarfrost Ma into a clean state. Man surnamed Huang sees that he is unable to kill Hoarfrost Ma. He could only sigh and make his way to Banhai City. What an outstanding man of Dao! The contemplative man surnamed Huang felt a sudden palpitation without any reason. Actually want to investigate my identity and location. Before he could finish thinking, he directly bit his finger and squeezed out a drop of blood. He dropped the blood into the censer. The eerie green mist from the censer dissipated into nothingness. Luo Xie immediately noticed that the other party had self-destructed the ceremonial artifacts, concealing all traces. When he looked at Hoarfrost Ma again, he discovered that she was actually under a blood curse related to her life. Watching Hoarfrost Ma on the verge of death, Luo Xie sighed and said, "Heaven has the virtue of good life." After saying that, he bit his finger, squeezed out a drop of blood, and pressed it onto Hoarfrost Ma's forehead. After Luo Xie dispelled the strange green mist surrounding Hoarfrost Ma, the sky once again descended the aura of merit. He exclaimed hastily. A person used such a powerful curse spell to curse mortals to death. Even the heavens could not overlook it. Hearing this, the weak Hoarfrost Ma slowly opened her eyes and said, "Is it you who saved me?" Luo Xie said, "Yes, it was me. But for now, it's just a temporary conclusion." After listening to Luo Xie's words, Hoarfrost Ma was greatly surprised and anxiously asked for the reason. Luo Xie said, "In Daoist spells, there is a branch called curse spell. You can understand it as a curse." At the same time, Daoist spells have many branches, such as formation, mysticism, body and chi refining, and so on. Curse spells are too negative and harmful, so they are prohibited by major Daoist sects in the Dao cultivation world. Being affected by such a sophisticated curse spell, like the one you are under, is extremely rare and dangerous. Hearing Luo Xie's words, Hoarfrost Ma is even more worried. She inquires about how to completely eradicate it. Luo Xie said directly that to completely eradicate it, there is only one way, which is to get rid of the person under the curse. Upon hearing about killing someone, Hoarfrost Ma was truly shocked. She didn't understand why this person wanted to harm her life. Luo Xie thought that a dark sorcerer with such a high cultivation level in Banhai City might be someone she knows. At that moment, he naturally thought of the traitor Ke Yang from Wudang Mountain and requested Hoarfrost Ma to investigate competitors in business rivalry with him. Otherwise, they would not be able to quickly identify the culprit who harmed him. Hoarfrost Ma immediately informed the secretary, "Send a set of clean clothes over here." Immediately she greeted Luo Xie and got up to walk to the next office. Who would have thought that after just a few steps, Luo Xie said, "I suggest you not to leave my side. 1 meter range around me. You borrow me spiritual power and spiritual chi to suppress the curse on you. It's best not to move too far from me before removing the curse." Upon hearing this sentence, directly petrify Hoarfrost Ma, who intends to go to the next office. Sure enough, the curse beyond a 1 meter distance begins to relapse. This causes Hoarfrost Ma unbearable agony. Then he went on to say to Luo Xie, "Do we have to continue like this? Isn't there any other way? After all, there's a difference between men and women. I can't always maintain such a close distance with Luo Xie." Luo Xie also seemed to realize that this was inappropriate and spoke up. "There are some spiritual objects that can carry my spiritual chi and spiritual power over long distances, but I don't have such spiritual objects with me at the moment, Luo Xie. It's like letting Hoarfrost Ma catch a lifeline," he quickly said. "I do have some antiques and ancient objects here. I'm not sure if they will be of any use." There seems to be no way. Luo Xie could only take a look and see if these items could be of any use. Later, under the guidance of Hoarfrost Ma, the two arrived at the treasure room. Luo Xie took a look and found that they were just ordinary items that couldn't be of use. Hoarfrost Ma on the side immediately said that there was a small treasure vault at home with even rarer treasures inside. However, to open the vault, both my father and I must be present at the same time. After saying that, she immediately called her father, who was abroad. After the call ended, she said to Luo Xie, "My father is already on his way back to the country as soon as possible, but he can only arrive by tomorrow morning at the earliest. But now I have a very urgent matter. I need to use the restroom." Luo Xie heard that Hoarfrost Ma needs to use the restroom. Luo Xie could only reluctantly agree. However, just as he entered the bathroom, Hoarfrost Ma was struck by the aftermath of the curse, leaving a large amount of stains on his body. She needs to take a bath and change clothes. She had to ask Luo Xie to continue standing guard outside. He heard the sound of bathing in the bathroom. Luo Xie sighed helplessly. Heaven has the virtue of good life. A long time later, the just finished bathing Hoarfrost Ma is leisurely drinking coffee. At this time, the secretary walked in, notifying the dinner with Yunhe Group President Nye tonight. In a high-end restaurant, Hoarfrost Ma is discussing business matters with Luo Xie. When it was learned that Luo Xie was a highly respected figure from Wudang Mountain, Yunhe Group President Nye hopes that Luo Xie can help with his feng shui matters when he has time. After the discussion was over, Luo Xie glanced at his phone and realized it was already 10 o'clock. He immediately said he needed to go back to rest. Hoarfrost Ma decided to have the driver take Luo Xie back. However, before she could finish her sentence, she thought that the two of them should not leave within 1 meter of each other. So, she had to give up the idea. Inside a hotel. When Hoarfrost Ma learned that there was only one king bedroom left, he decided to look for another hotel. Luo Xie anxiously said, "It's almost 10 o'clock. We don't have time to go somewhere else. A king bedroom is just fine." After entering the room, Hoarfrost Ma asked, "Why do we have to stay at this hotel? What are you doing at 11 o'clock? Luo Xie replied, "The 2 hours from 11 o'clock to 1 o'clock in the morning are the most important rest time. If delayed, I don't know how much time it will take to make up for it." At night, looking at Luo Xie, who was sleeping soundly beside Hoarfrost Ma, due to nervousness, had not slept at all. Second by second passed, just as Hoarfrost Ma was about to fall asleep. Luo Xie beside suddenly sat up. Hoarfrost Ma asked curiously, when seeing Luo Xie actually started meditating, "Why aren't you continuing to sleep? I probably didn't make any noise to disturb you," said Luo Xie casually. "An hour of good sleep is enough. It's difficult to make up for poor sleep in that hour. Of course, most people can't do this, depending on their cultivation level." The next morning, early in the morning, Hoarfrost Ma received a call from his father. Let the two of them set off for home, and then start unlocking the treasure trove. Inside a luxurious villa. A middle-aged man in traditional Chinese clothing. He is enthusiastically greeting Luo Xie. This person is Hoarfrost Ma's father, Su Ma. It turns out that Sect Master Floating Cloud Daoist Master of Wudang Mountain once helped Hoarfrost Ma's grandfather. And this time, Luo Xie coincidentally saved his own daughter. Of course, Su Ma is naturally very grateful. Shortly after, the group of people arrived at the basement of the villa. Shortly after entering the treasure trove, Luo Xie suddenly exclaimed towards an object on one side, "I was being pessimistic earlier. There really is one here." Su Ma on the side quickly picked up this object and said, "This blood essence yin-yang fish was collected by Hoarfrost a year ago. Hoarfrost Ma also mentioned this yin-yang fish when I showed it to her. At that time, I found it accidentally and thought it was of good quality, so I bought it from someone else. Daoist Master Xie, can this piece of jade be effective?" After listening to Hoarfrost Ma's words, Luo Xie directly picked up the yin-yang fish and handed it to Hoarfrost Ma to put on. After that, his fingers swiftly changed. He directly infused his own spiritual power into the yin-yang fish worn by Hoarfrost Ma. infused with spiritual power, the blood essence yin-yang fish becomes even more spiritual. The entire yin-yang fish becomes bright blood red. Luo Xie continued, "Keep this jade pendant with you at all times. It will allow you to receive my spiritual power from a distance and suppress the curse on your body. The distance can increase by about 100 times. Upon hearing 100 times, Horfrostma said gloomily, "If it's 100 times, wouldn't it be only 100 meters?" However, in response to Horfrostma's words, Luo Xie did not reply. Instead, he continued to stare at the jade pendant. He then said thoughtfully, "This spiritual object should be a pair. Do you know the whereabouts of the other half? If the other half can be found and merged to complete it, it will be able to carry my spiritual power and spiritual chi over longer distances. Our separation can be further extended." "No Luo Xie's thoughts," Horfrostma immediately said. "This thing. When I collected it before, there was only this piece. I am not sure if there is another half. I will contact the original seller to inquire." After saying that, she went to the side to make a phone call. Just then, Luo Xie suddenly turned his head. He was unexpectedly attracted by another item. What caught his eye was a simple tortoiseshell carved with a yang-yang bagua pattern. Unexpectedly, he was pleased again this time. He immediately picked up the tortoiseshell and said, "This prenatal bagua chart has a history of thousands of years. Such genuine items are indeed rare." Horfrostma, who had just finished the call, also walked over and said, "I acquired this tortoiseshell and blood essence yin-yang fish from the same person." Upon hearing this, Luo Xie immediately asked about the origins of these two spiritual objects. Noticing Luo Xie's attention to these items, Horfrostma hastily said, "That person also acquired them from someone else. I have asked him to confirm the specific source. I will inform you later when there is news." Unable to determine the origin of the spiritual object in a short period of time, Luo Xie decided to return to the tea house. As long as Horfrostma stayed within a 100-meter range, it would be sufficient. Inside the celestial seclusion tea house. After Luo Xie arranged Horfrostma's accommodation, he returned alone to his room on the second floor. Horfrostma checked his accommodation on the first floor and found that the curse on him didn't recur after he had moved away from Luo Xie for a certain distance. She could now take a bath and sleep without feeling as awkward as before. Inside the room on the second floor, Luo Xie is sacrificially refining the turtle shell he obtained today. Above the turtle shell, Luo Xie's life-saving ceremonial artifact, Mortal Emperor Seal, looms tall. With the beginning of sacrificially refining, a drop of blood drips from Luo Xie's index finger. The fresh blood falls on the tortoiseshell, causing the object to immediately emit a bright light. As the pattern of the Mortal Emperor Seal becomes clearer and clearer. On the contrary, the light of the tortoiseshell is getting weaker and weaker. After a long time, with the end of the sacrificially refine, Luo Xie found that the sacrificially refined level of the Mortal Emperor Seal has reached 40%. Immediately following, the turtle shell shattered directly, devoid of any spirituality. At this moment, a knocking sound came from outside the house. Ying Xiao from the Mystery Investigation Bureau is here. He has come to inform about the plot to murder Horfrostma. Among the most suspicious is Haiming Tang from the Fortune and Antiquity Pavilion, but when attempting to further investigate, it was found that Haiming Tang had already died. When it was known that Haiming Tang had died, Horfrostma was also quite surprised. Immediately Ying Xiao said, "It was just this morning. He seemed to have a sudden heart attack, but we cannot rule out the possibility of dark sorcerer's involvement." At this moment, Luo Xie on the side mentioned, "A gecko shedding its tail to kill and silence someone." Ying Xiao then continued saying, "Such a coincidence is likely not normal. After investigating from various aspects, it is possible that the person behind Haiming Tang's death is the one who killed him to silence him. It could be a mysterious person with the surname Huang." Furthermore, team leader Xu mentioned that this mysterious person surnamed Huang could possibly be the Wudang trader Ke Yang. Upon learning that the mastermind behind the scenes could possibly be the Wudang trader Ke Yang, Luo Xie immediately said solemnly, "If it's really Ke Yang, you must be careful when investigating." Ying Xiao on the side also immediately said, "The enemy is currently very cautious. There are no more clues for now. Director Song asked me to stay here. Feel free to let me know if you have anything to tell me." Just then, Hoarfrost Ma's phone suddenly rang beside him. It was the person who had asked to inquire about the source of the spiritual object earlier calling. After the communication was finished, Hoarfrost Ma went straight to Luo Xie and said, "The blood essence Enyang fish and the tortoiseshell were both exchanged at an antique market in the northern frontier. Maybe we can find the other half in northern frontier. It's just a matter of asking Daoist Master Xie to accompany me on a long journey," said Hoarfrost Ma. After hearing Hoarfrost Ma's words, Luo Xie thought to himself that finding the other half of the blood essence Enyang fish would be beneficial for both of them. In the meantime, he also wanted to see if they could find a spiritual object that could accelerate the process of sacrificially refining the mortal emperor seal. Inside a quaint building, a woman dressed in a long red robe is facing a blood pool. She said, "You practice the earthly scroll forcefully, all you get is injuries. Don't take any more risks." At this moment, the blood pool slowly rose. A person said sarcastically, "There is a reward for the effort you put in. It's just a pity we couldn't bring down the celestial scroll together in the beginning." The Haiming Tang from the Fortune and Antiquity Pavilion has been taken care of. Additional intelligence report. The Hoarfrost Ma from the Moon-Grasping Pavilion has chartered a flight to the northern frontier. After listening to the words of the woman in the long robe, Ke Yang said thoughtfully, "There are many ancient treasures in the northern frontier. She might be going there to seek treasure to save her life. It's just unsure whether the Dao cultivation expert by her side will also go." Ke Yang then asked, "Do you have acquaintances in the northern frontier?" The woman in the long robe answered, "I'm somewhat familiar with Old Bat." Upon hearing this, Ke Yang said slowly, "Let's not return home recently. Let's contact Old Bat in the northern frontier. Let him feel Family Ma's little girl's body. Where exactly does the expert by her side come from?" A month later, a surge of spiritual qi will erupt in Binhai City. It's just one step away from nurturing the earthly scroll to completion. At that time, we will have to take risks and go back. I have a premonition that we will encounter him again." Then she cruelly smiled. "This is the third time I'm saying it. Subscribe, subscribe, subscribe." Inside a large airport, Luo Xie and others are discussing the matter of going to the northern frontier. Ji Xingshu across from them said, "Director Song is investigating the relationship between Fortune and Antiquity Pavilion and Ke Yang. He ordered both of us to come over. Easy. Go and exchange information with colleagues from the local Mystery Investigation Bureau of Northern Frontier." At this time, Hoarfrost Ma on the side notified everyone to prepare for departure. The crew is all ready to go. 7. Inside the cabin, Luo Xie asks how long it will take to get from Binhai City to the northern frontier. Hoarfrost Ma said it will take about 4 to 5 hours. Heard that it will take several hours. Luo Xie felt helpless. It was 11 o'clock, and we were still on the airplane. Hearing Luo Xie suddenly said this, Ying Zhao immediately asked Senior Mentor Xie if something was going to happen at 11 o'clock. Luo Xie said that from 11 o'clock to 1 o'clock in the morning. These 2 hours are my rest time. At this time, Hoarfrost Ma on the side said, "It's okay, you can sleep when the time comes. Wait until we land at Northern Frontier. We will call you then." He heard there might be a disturbance to his rest. Luo Xie replied angrily, "Unless it's a matter of life and death, who dares to disturb my sleep? Someone might really lose their life." Time passes second by second. Just as we were about to reach the destination, Hoarfrost Ma suddenly saw a dark shadow pass by outside the window. It seemed as if she had sensed something. She hurried to the window and looked outside. At that moment, the plane was directly above. There stood a huge bat suddenly. He is the famous Northern Frontier Fiend Bat King. At this moment, it is opening its mouth and emitting powerful sound waves. Super strong sound waves. The sound waves directly cause the top of the plane to explode. And the plane also lost its balance at this moment, quickly crashing towards the ground. The sudden accident left everyone in panic. After all, when something happens outside the aircraft at an altitude of 10,000 meters, no one can do anything. And at this moment, when Luo Xie and others came to investigate, the Bat King from the northern frontier disdainfully said, "Keiyang Yuanqi, they are too cautious. Let me help them by sending your enemies for you. Let them fall down together with this iron coffin." Just as the Bat King was about to take action again, he suddenly felt a wave of inexplicable palpitations. Only to see lightning surrounded the entire fuselage, enveloping himself as well. Luo Xie, who was resting, has now gotten up and lifted his eye mask. Angrily he said, "Has no one ever taught you not to disturb someone's sleep? Is it a serious offense?" Watching the approaching thunder and lightning-shrouded spiritual power, Bat King felt fear. He immediately wanted to flap his wings and leave. If he didn't leave soon, he would lose his life here. However, just as he was about to move, he was horrified to find that he couldn't budge. He has already been controlled by Luo Xie's spiritual rituals. He was surrounded by small formations all over his body. The power of lightning continuously bombarded him. No matter how the Bat King struggled, it was ineffective. Inside the cockpit, Luo Xie used earthly rituals thunderstruck by pinching his fingers to form a seal. With the strengthening of the formation's lightning power, several lightning bolts simultaneously struck the Bat King in the air. The lightning blasted the Bat King, causing its skin to burst open. Next, Luo Xie once again used earthly rituals one hand to block the sky. Just saw a golden giant hand descending from the sky, reaching towards the dying Bat King. At this moment, the Bat King had no strength left to fight back. He was tightly gripped by the giant hand and was directly crushed. The Fiend King of the northern frontier met his end. The Bat King is dead. But the recent battle has caused even greater damage to the plane. Now, it is completely out of control and heading towards the ground. Just when everyone was at a loss. On the side, Luo Xie, who was yawning, said, "Don't worry. Although I don't know how to fix planes, I have my own way to continue flying." After saying that, he formed a two-hand seal again. His whole body was suspended in the air. He emitted a strong golden light from himself as the center, enveloping the entire fuselage. Ying Zhao on the side quickly looked out the window. The plane at this moment. The plane was actually engulfed in a golden phoenix manifestation. Horfrost Ma, at this moment, said in surprise, "How is this possible?" "So your solution is to fly together with the airplane. This B-450 aircraft has an empty weight of 19.5 tons. After listening to Horfrost Ma's words, Luo Xie said indifferently, "It's not heavy at all. Modern technology is quite good. It's labor-saving, convenient, and not slow in speed." Upon landing at Northern Frontier Airport, Luo Xie and a few others were already met by personnel from the Mystery Investigation Bureau. Upon seeing the arrival of the team, Luo Xie mentioned that they had just arrived at Northern Frontier and were immediately attacked by a bat. "Do you have any leads?" The arrivals heard that it was the Bat King who attacked. They immediately expressed their concerns and asked, "Are you all okay?" "The Bat King is cunning and powerful." Luo Xie casually replied, "No problem, I've already taken care of him." But his appearance was too coincidental. It seems like someone deliberately arranged it. Maybe it's related to Keiyang. Go find the bat's lair and see if there are any clues connecting it to Keiyang. Ask Luo Xie to finish up the business. Horfrost Ma said, "The sunset is later on this side of the northern frontier. The antique market is still bustling. Let's go check out the market first." Ying Zhao, who is sitting in the front seat, asked if team leader Shu knows anyone at the northern frontier. Xingshu replied, "On this side of northern frontier, I have known Feng Yu, the head of the Investigation Bureau, for over 10 years. He has helped me out on several occasions before. At this time, Little Peng, a member of the investigation bureau who was driving, said, Feng Yu has gone missing. To be precise, he defected. Now his whereabouts are unknown. Last month, we accidentally captured a very powerful evil spirit named Black Spirit. But a few days ago, Black Spirit escaped. Various signs at the scene indicated that Feng Yu was trying to absorb Black Spirit's power, causing it to escape. The two of them fled together, and their whereabouts are still unknown. Upon learning that his friend Feng Yu betrayed him, Ji Xingzou was full of disbelief. In Ji Xingzou's view, Feng Yu has always been brave and upright, hating evil like enemies. His cultivation level strength is comparable to Northern Frontier Director Tan, who has subdued many fiends. Feng Yu has even saved his life. At this moment, the investigator driving the car, Little Peng, said, Black Spirit has the ability to bewitch and lead people astray. This evil spirit can split into black shadows and attach to people, amplifying the dark side of their hearts. At this moment, Feng Yu is no longer the friend you are familiar with, nor is she the team leader we are familiar with. But we have already captured another person possessed by the Black Spirit shadow. Director Tan is interrogating them. Hopefully, we can find some clues. I'm aware of Ji Xingzou's concern. Luo Xie nearby mentioned the concerns Ji Xing has. Let's go check it out when a few of us head to the antique market. As the scene changes, several people arrive at an antique shop. Horfrost Ma asks directly, Have you ever received the other half of this blood essence Enyang fish? The shop owner then regretfully says, I regret that I sold one half earlier. I only obtained the other half later on. Upon hearing that the other half is also here, Horfrost Ma immediately says she wants to buy it. However, the shop owner replies, It was bought by another customer a month ago. Do you still remember who you sold it to? Upon hearing Horfrost Ma's question, the shop owner said, That person is very mysterious. I am also unsure of his identity. However, his appearance is very distinctive. There is a scar on the left side of his forehead. When they heard this, everyone knew that the person who bought the other half of the blood essence Enyang fish is Feng Yu. In an interrogation room, Director Yun Tan of the Northern Frontier Investigation Bureau is interrogating a person possessed by the Black Spirit. This person's thoughts and consciousness have been distorted. It is also the last clue to finding Feng Yu. Only to see Yun Tan. The talismans and charms in his hand stuck to the person's forehead. However, after a moment, the person possessed by the Black Spirit suddenly went berserk. He exerted strange strength to directly break the handcuffs and tried to escape. And at this time, the members of the Mystery Investigation Bureaus surrounding them were already prepared. They quickly threw out a rope and securely bound him. With the enhancement of the power of talismans and charms, the dark shadow inside the possession also gradually emerges. Upon seeing this situation, Yun Tan, who was already prepared, she directly threw the talismans and charms in her hand into the interrogation room, the 4 mirrors on the top. She shouted loudly, earthly rituals, from her mouth. Universal light. Accompanied by terrifying screams. The shadow is completely stripped from the body. The shadow is firmly trapped in the formation. At this time, the investigator Little Peng outside the room said, Director Tan is the rightful successor of the Maoshan sect in the eastern sect of the Tao. What was just performed was indeed the Maoshan technique, 3 stars palace's authentic earthly rituals universal light. These days, she has been casting spells every day. Today, this Black Spirit's resistance has been completely overwhelmed. Just at this moment, Luo Xie arrived to inquire about Yun Tan's current situation. Yun Tan looked at the dark shadow in the air and said, This is like a clone of the Black Spirit. Unfortunately, the contact has been cut off. We lost further clues by not being able to track Black Spirit and Feng Yu through this dark shadow. After listening to Yun Tan's words, Luo Xie said thoughtfully, Otherwise, should I go? Yun Tan looked at the shadow of the Black Spirit in front of him, only to see Luo Xie's eyes emitting a golden light. A thunderbolt struck the person previously possessed by the black spirit on the wrist. The thunderbolt directly shattered the bound red cinnabar rope. However, surprisingly, the cinnabar rope actually moved on its own. At this point, everyone finally understood. This is the true form of the black spirit shadow. Yun Tan on the side was also astonished and said, "Even though the vermilion cord snapped, but the spirituality has not completely dispersed yet. This shadow can actually hide in the broken vermilion cord. Watch the true form of the black spirit shadow that has appeared." Luo Xie formed two-hand seal. His fingertips emit a strong golden light. The golden light then condensed in the air into a divine beast shadow, pressing towards the dark shadow town. At this moment, the dark shadow shrouded by the divine beast shadow was constantly emitting a piercing crashing sound. After a moment, the dark shadow was completely suppressed by the shadow of the divine beast. With Luo Xie's charm, the shadow of the divine beast condensed into a compass. Looking at the compass in his hand, Luo Xie said calmly, "We roughly have the direction." Yun Tan on the car said to Jixingxu seriously, "I know about your relationship with Fengyu. But remember, emotions must not cloud our judgment in this operation. Someone died at his hands the last time we dealt with him. We used to be colleagues who spent day and night together." After listening to the instructions, Jixingxu looked uneasy. "I still can't believe that Fengyu would do such a thing. There must be some misunderstanding. However, I will remember Director Tan's warning. If he really does wrong, I will not back down." At this point, the driver, Little Peng, also spoke up. Fengyu's strength was originally at the early foundation establishment stage. Now, he may be even stronger after absorbing the power of the black spirit. Upon hearing foundation establishment, Hoarfrost Ma's puzzled inquiry. Sitting at the back, Jixingxu said, "This is in our cultivation world. It is a rough standard regarding cultivation level. Cultivation starts from qi refining and is divided into 4 stages: early, middle, later, and complete qi refining stage. Above qi refining is foundation establishment, which is also divided into early stages. Middle, later, and complete foundation establishment stages consist of 4 stages. And the foundation establishment stage cultivator's spiritual power becomes more condensed. They can gradually harness and sacrificially refine ceremonial artifacts. Beyond the foundation establishment stage is the golden core stage cultivator. Immortal with golden nature, attaining the golden core, the cultivation level of a golden core stage cultivator possesses even greater supernatural powers." Following that, Jixingxu continued, "Previously, I served as the team leader of the investigation department with a cultivation level of later qi refining stage. My cultivation level can only be considered barely meeting the threshold. Fengyu's talent and understanding far surpass mine. Not to mention reaching the golden core stage, but at least there is hope for achieving the complete foundation establishment stage. How did he suddenly encounter this disaster?" As the scene changes, in a remote grove, several people arrive at their destination. At Yun Tan's suggestion, the group split into 2 teams to search for the trail of the black spirit. However, shortly after the actions began, the investigator who was walking at the back, Little Peng, was tagged by black spirit. At this point, Little Peng has already stopped in his tracks, only to see the black spirit's shadow slowly possessing. Sure enough, after a moment, Little Peng's movements began to become strange. Then, he was completely possessed and controlled by the black spirit. Look, part 3 is about to start, dear viewers. Why not click subscribe? Come on, click it, or else I may have to use Palm Thunder. Little Peng, possessed by the black spirit, moved strangely forward. When Ying Zhao saw the strange behavior of Little Peng, she was about to say something. She was then controlled by the dark aura around her. Just as the black spirit was about to take control of the Hoarfrost Ma head, a pair of hands reached out from the darkness. Luo Xie appeared and covered the eyes of the 2 directly. He casually said, "You guys are really careless. As soon as the words fell, she directly cast Daoist spells. In an instant, thunder poured down. Golden lightning quickly enveloped several people. Just a moment later, Little Peng and Ying Zhao woke up from being possessed. Looking at their own hands, Little Peng said with lingering fear, "This black spirit really gets everywhere. But it seems like we're in the right place. Senior Mentor Xie is truly remarkable." Ying Zhao on the side expressed worry, saying, "I wonder how things are going with Team Leader Shu and Director Tan over there." The scene changed. Jixing Shu and a few others arrived at a cave entrance. After discussing, they decided to go in and explore together with Yun Tan. After leaving someone behind to guard the cave entrance, the group walked straight in. However, unexpectedly, Jixing Shu and the others had not gone far when the person guarding the cave entrance was then attacked. Upon entering the cave, Jixing Shu remained vigilant. However, they had not gone far when they encountered an ambush by a mysterious person. At a critical moment, Jixing Shu used the ceremonial artifact's bamboo core brush to block this powerful blow. Unfortunately, the companion who was traveling with them was controlled. Just as Jixing Shu was preparing to fight again, the ground unexpectedly began to shake. Due to the intense previous battles, the battle caused the ground to collapse. A shower of debris fell. Jixing Shu struggled to climb out of the collapse. Although he encountered a collapse, fortunately, he did not suffer major injuries. After a short search, he unexpectedly found a person standing not far away. When Jixing Shu approached, he discovered that it was Fengyu whom he had been looking for all along. At this moment, Fengyu had half of the yin-yang fish hanging around his neck, and an unknown weapon was inserted into his chest. The scene in front of Jixing Shu startled him. He hurried forward to inspect. He then discovered that there was a prominent evil aura of the black spirit inside Fengyu's body, obviously possessing Fengyu. However, it seemed to be sealed in some way. Just then, during the examination, Jixing Shu discovered that there were words on the ground nearby. What was written was, "Yun Tan." This sparked a realization in him. However, before Jixing Shu could react, he was kicked to the ground by someone behind him. The person who approached was Yun Tan, who revealed the ceremonial artifact's mysterious light mirror. She continued to say in her mouth, "Thank you to Senior Mentor Xie for helping to find the general direction. Once I get closer, it'll be easier for me to find." And Jixing Shu, who was injured on the side, angrily said, "I didn't expect the real traitor to be you. Fengyu has never betrayed anyone. The real traitor is you." Facing Jixing Shu's inquiry, Yun Tan calmly said, "I have always admired Fengyu, and you are also talented. But I can't let you ruin my plans." It turns out that not long ago, when Fengyu was searching for Black Spirit, he discovered someone was refining and absorbing the malevolent qi of the Black Spirit. After entering the room, he discovered that the one attempting to refine the Black Spirit was none other than Yun Tan. He tried to stop Yun Tan's actions. Fengyu forcefully stopped Yun Tan's actions using a flying sword. At the same time, he proactively touched the Black Spirit to possess it. This angered Yun Tan, who then directly went to kill Fengyu. Fengyu, who was seriously injured, escaped from the room. However, he discovered that all his former colleagues had been controlled by the Black Spirit. In an unavoidable situation, Fengyu went on a killing spree. After killing everyone, he fled alone to a remote cave. To seal the Black Spirit inside him and reveal some truths, Fengyu left Yun Tan's name on the ground. Then, he used a sharp blade to stab into his own body. He completely sealed the Black Spirit. The scene changes. Inside the cave, Yun Tan looks at Fengyu in excitement and says, "I must obtain the power of the Black Spirit." After saying that, he reaches out and grips the sword handle, preparing to pull out the sword that seals the Black Spirit. At this critical moment, Luo Xie and the others arrived just in time. Jixing Shu, who witnessed the arrival of the Patriarch, also gathered and located the main backbone. Finally, they can stop Yun Tan's evil plan. At this moment, Yun Tan did not panic. he just asked in confusion. You actually came so quickly. Upon hearing Yuntan's confusion, Luo Xie casually said, From the beginning, I felt that your connection with the Black Spirit was unexpectedly deep. However, you were not possessed by the Black Spirit. So I didn't reveal it right away. I just wanted to see what you had in mind. The moment this sentence was uttered, even the members of the nearby investigation bureau couldn't help but ask in confusion. What is the reason behind this after all? At this moment, Yuntan said somewhat crazily, You are still young. Even with a low cultivation level, you may not feel much. However, as you grow older, it becomes increasingly difficult for your cultivation level stage to continue to improve. Anyone would feel anxious and would try every means to take a chance. Xingzou was directly infuriated by Yuntan's idea and shouted, How many people have died because of the gamble you placed? However, Yuntan jokingly replied, Once the arrow is released, it cannot be taken back. Right now, I can only gamble one more time. After saying that, she directly pulled out the long sword inserted into Feng Yu's body, releasing Black Spirit completely. Looking at the unsealed original form of Black Spirit in front of her, Yuntan said seriously, Right now, we are not enemies but friends. If we don't deal with the people in front of us, you will also have no way out. And at this moment, Black Spirit seems to understand the meaning behind Yuntan's words. After letting out a strange cry, it slowly appeared behind Yuntan. Everyone was shocked to face this terrifying Black Spirit, except for Patriarch Xie, who faced everything with calmness. At this moment, Yuntan continued ironically saying, Senior Mentor Xie, your cultivation level is superb, and I admit that I am not your match. However, it's currently 2 against 1. But before she could finish her sentence, a flash of lightning swept across Yuntan's face. Immediately, a phantom of the divine beast Qilin rose behind her. Amazed, she just turned her head to find Qilin manifestation tearing at the Black Spirit's phantom. Just a moment. The previously terrifying Black Spirit was completely destroyed in an instant. Yuntan, who was initially mocking, could not accept such a result. She took up the knife in her hand and threw it towards the crowd. However, just as the knife was about to touch Luo Xie effortlessly flicked the knife away with just a snap of his fingers. Seeing that the attack missed, Yuntan also activated his own special ability, the ceremonial artifact's mysterious light mirror, only to see extremely powerful spiritual rituals shooting out from the mirror. Wherever the light and shadow reached, rocks and stones flew in all directions. But in the face of such a strong attack, Luo Xie remains calm, only to see Patriarch form forming a one-handed seal. Suddenly, a dazzling golden light emanated from him. The huge shadow of the earthly ritual's spiritual turtle, Sea Calming, appeared in front of him. No matter how Yuntan attacked, it remained immovable. The power gap was too huge, with no possibility of winning at all. Watching the almost despairing Yuntan Luo Xie, he did not hold back, only to see the front paw of the tortoise lifted directly. The giant paw, shining with golden light, fiercely patted towards Yuntan. Just heard a loud bang. After a single blow, Yuntan was completely destroyed. The scene changed. Feng Yu, whose seal was released, had a soul floating out of his body. Seeing this scene, Xingzou sadly said, It must be him, Feng Yu. Patriarch Xie Feng Yu was interrupted by Luo Xie before he could finish speaking. The moment the sword entered the body, life and death had already been decided. Immediately after that, Luo Xie cast a spell again. He gathered the scattered soul and spirit back together. After casting the spell, the soul indeed directly formed the illusion of Feng Yu. He smiled and said, It's Xixing, huh? I didn't expect us to meet like this. It seems like the malevolent qi of the Black Spirit has dissipated. And at this moment, Xingzou is already in tears. Yes, the Black Spirit has been destroyed. Yuntan, who framed you, has also been brought to justice. Upon hearing this, Feng Yu joked that you must not have been capable of doing this. You helped me thank the expert who eradicated the Black Spirit and Yuntan. I originally wanted to thank in person, but it seems like I do not have the time now. Take care, good brother. It's a pity that we can't fight side by side anymore. You should focus on cultivating well and find a wife quickly. Have a big chubby boy. After speaking, Feng Yu's soul shadow once again became elusive. The soul drifted towards the mountain. The soul feels the places it once lived in, the roads it once walked, the people it once guarded. For him, all the beauty in the world is worth it. Black spirit is destroyed. The heavens once again bestow the aura of merit. Luo Xie gathers the merit aura in his hands and blows it towards Feng Yu, seeing the golden glow around Feng Yu. Xingzou asked in confusion, Patriarch, what is this? A little bit of merit is what he deserves. It protects his Dao body from being disturbed by malevolent qi. Upon hearing Luo Xie's explanation, Xingzou said seriously, You are considerate. I will thank Patriarch Feng Yu on behalf of you. You and Manager Ma came all the way to the northern frontier. You are here for this blood essence yin-yang fish. I believe Feng Yu is willing to help Manager Ma with it. I will take charge and give it to Manager Ma, but I need to document this spiritual object in the report to the higher-ups. Just then, Luo Xie took out a golden scale-shaped item from his chest and said, The scales of the long horse were found there after dealing with Yun Tan. I have a use for this thing. I won't be polite with you. You can write the report however you want. Upon hearing this, Xingzou naturally understood. He immediately arranged for someone to accompany Luo Xie and Hoarfrost Ma back to Binhai City, while he stayed in the northern frontier to help with the aftermath. On the plane, Hoarfrost Ma was feeling emotional about everything that had happened in the past few days. It completely overturned her own understanding. Later, she looked over to Luo Xie, who was reading a book next to her, and asked, What book are you reading? Is it a classic of Taoism? And Luo Xie. He then picked up the brief history of the development of power engineering in his hand and said, I just said, the world is vast. Understanding fields that you have never been in contact with. It's a different kind of joy. The scene shifts. Upon returning to his dwelling, Luo Xie immediately had Hoarfrost Ma close the two halves of the yin-yang fish and put it on. He saw Hoarfrost Ma putting on the blood essence yin-yang fish. Luo Xie directly cast Daoist spells, only to see streams of spiritual qi rushing towards the yin-yang fish. With the continuous infusion of spiritual power, Hoarfrost Ma's whole body is shrouded in spiritual qi. And the blood essence yin-yang fish has also become even more full of spirituality. After a moment, Luo Xie calmly said, This time, the distance is magnified by 100 times compared to before. The range is now 10,000 meters. Upon hearing a distance of 10 kilometers, Hoarfrost Ma excitedly said, Then I can go home. It's just that when it comes to business, many times you have to go to other places. It seems like I have to stay in Binhai City more often. It will be tough on my dad to go out all the time. Following that, Hoarfrost Ma said, I dare not expect Master Xie from the Daoist sect to accompany me. I just hope that if you need to leave for a long journey, please inform me in advance. I will also intensify my efforts to investigate the whereabouts of Kei Yang, as you mentioned. I heard that Hoarfrost Ma offered to help find Kei Yang. Luo Xie reminded him to remember to assess his capabilities. Don't let others find you before finding the Kei Yang, or you will be subjected to a second curse. Looking out of the window at night, Luo Xie thought that in a few days, a surge of spiritual energy should gather in the city. That would be the opportunity for Kei Yang to nurture the earthly scroll and to find him. As he finished speaking, he began to sacrificially refine the mortal emperor seal. As time passed, the sacrificial refinement process of the mortal emperor seal has reached 50%. This time going to the northern frontier unexpectedly yielded results. It has once again accelerated the sacrificial refinement of the mortal emperor seal. I won't say anything more. Let everyone continue watching. Yuna Group Chairman Ming Ye made a special visit to seek advice from Luo Xie on Feng Shui and Ba Zi. After both of them were seated, Luo Xie asked what they wanted to inquire about. Mingye said that last time we met, I discussed business with manager Ma. Presumably, Daoist Master Xie also heard about it. Yuna Group is in the porcelain business. This visit is because the group's subordinate porcelain shop has had some unusual occurrences. We would like to ask Daoist Master Xie to help check the feng shui. After listening, Luo Xie suddenly glanced at Mingye. He solemnly said, "No need to go to the porcelain shop. I don't have the time to run back and forth." A face with remarkable features. You are talented, have a straight nose bridge, and a smooth complexion. Your financial luck is smooth without obstacles, and your round and flat chin indicates no money leakage. Although your ears are not symmetrical, there may be a tendency for stubbornness. However, your current business should be fine. How would he know the situation of the porcelain shop? The details of my business in the shop? Horfrustma couldn't possibly know either. Mingye cleared his throat and asked softly, "Did Daoist Master Xie hear something from someone that caused a misunderstanding? I sincerely invited Daoist Master Xie to come to the shop to help take a look." Seeing that Mingye was unwilling to tell the truth, Luo Xie set down the teacup in his hand. "You are here to do business with Horfrostma or to establish a long-term relationship with Moon-Grasping Pavilion? President, yeah, you've got the wrong target. I can't influence his business, and he can't influence mine." Seeing Luo Xie instantly understand their own thoughts, Mingye immediately expresses goodwill. While Luo Xie, lost in thought, said, "So be it. Let me say one more thing. Your fate is not bad, but your luck has been terrible lately. Be careful with your personal safety to avoid a sudden turn in your destiny." Upon hearing this, Mingye was startled and immediately asked if they could explain further. "The blackening of your brow center may indicate a bloodshed disaster, and the situation at the corner of your eyes does not look good. Most of your misfortune likely stems from disharmony in your marriage." Luo Xie's words left Mingye completely persuaded. For a moment, Mingye didn't know what to say. After a long pause, Mingye slowly said, "My relationship with my wife is indeed not very harmonious, and I have been feeling unwell these days." "Master Xie, do you think there is a way to help me?" Luo Xie replied, "Extend one finger into the tea water." Seeing this, although Mingye did not understand why he had to do this, he still did as he was told and extended his finger into the tea water. At this moment, Luo Xie pinched his fingers to form a seal, and streaks of thunder light appeared in the air. In less than a moment, a shadow of a divine turtle appeared, watching the tea water in his hand continuously churning. Mingye asked, "Master Xie, what is this?" "Your aura is disturbed. The most likely reason is instability in your long-term residency. The places you spend a lot of time in, like your office or home. Have you recently had someone feng shui your space?" Prompted by Luo Xie's reminder, Mingye suddenly brought up the topic of bedroom furniture and decorations. "Have you recently rearranged their placement? Does this count? Can you roughly sketch the layout for me to see?" After a moment, looking at the sketched bedroom layout, Luo Xie remarked, "It's indeed unusual. Take me directly to your house to see it in person." The scene suddenly shifts. When they arrive outside the house, Luo Xie asked, "Where exactly is your house located?" Mingye replied, "Qingchuan Town Pure Creek Garden." Looking at the route map on his phone, Luo Xie felt a headache coming on. He immediately dialed Horfrostma's number. "I'm heading to Qingchuan Town Pure Creek Garden now. Join me if you'd like," he said. At that moment, Horfrostma on the other end was completely speechless. After entering the address Luo Xie had mentioned, she was directly stunned by the distance displayed above. "Quick! Tell the driver to prepare the car. I want to go out immediately." Upon arriving at the destination, Luo Xie followed Mingye's guidance and headed towards the upstairs bedroom. After entering the room, Luo Xie carefully observed the surroundings and decorations. However, when he looked towards a certain direction, he was attracted by something in front of him. Seeing Daoist Master Xie silent, looking at an object on the wall. Mingye smiled and said that this mask and that ancient coin were bought from Manager Ma's moon-grasping pavilion. And at this moment, Luo Xie discovered that the layout of the room is actually the secret method of Wudang. Although someone has reversed the layout, converting its original positive effects into a malevolent spell of entrapment and killing, the foundation remains unchanged. At this moment, Mingye asked how Daoist Master Xie was doing. However, Luo Xie did not respond to Mingye's words. Instead, he picked up the antique pistol beside him. He asked if there is gunpowder inside. Mingye replied, "It looks like a gun, but it's actually a lighter." After listening to Mingye's words, Luo Xie said, "It really integrated malevolent qi. The perfectly fine 3 golds overcoming evil was transformed into Gong Golden Death Strike." However, right after speaking, Luo Xie used Wudang mysticism to inspect the arrangement of furniture in the room. The triangle is stable, but the triangle's sharpness transformed 5 elements into metal. Even the 3 wooden items arranged are the manifestation of Gong metal. The focus is not on the plants inside the 3 potted plants, but on the soil inside. 3 earths transformed into metal, the humidifier in the bathroom, and the fish tank. 3 waters transformed into metal. The window faces south. When the sun is at its peak during the day, combined with these 2 things, the manifestation of 3 fire transformed into metal has also emerged. Finally, 3 golden transformed into metal is the ultimate. Luo Xie's words made Mingye aware that this matter seems very complicated. At this point, Luo Xie continued to say, "Among the 5 elements, metal conquers with the 3 golds overcoming evil formation. It is actually a method to help eliminate entanglements caused by wooden malevolence. However, if the homeowner's fate is originally wood elemental, then it would not be appropriate. Although I don't know your birth date and time, you are most likely of wood elemental fate." Upon hearing this, Mingye clearly understood something. Since metal conquers wood, it is clear that there are significant issues with the decorations in the house. At this moment, Luo Xie returned the imitation gun to its original position and said, "The 5 elements generate and conquer each other. But here all elements are metal, like iron chains completely sealing off qi. A comprehensive conquers person with wood elemental fate. It's a sign of no way in heaven or earth. This is likely a setup carefully arranged by a dark sorcerer who has a certain level of skill based on your birth chart. This is meant to kill you without a trace. Only my wife knows my birthday, including the specific time of birth. She is the one who arranged the furnishings in the house." At this moment, Mingye has already understood everything. At this point, Luo Xie mentioned inviting her to come back for a discussion. I see that she is very well informed. I am somewhat interested in this dark sorcerer that he is teaching. Watching Mingye finish communicating with his wife on the phone, Luo Xie said seriously, "After the guests arrive later, I won't show myself at first. Just follow my instructions. Don't panic." The scene changed, and a stylish and well-proportioned young woman got out of a sports car. This person, named Lin Shu, is Mingye's wife. Upon seeing his wife return, Mingye shouted for her to come up first, as he needed to discuss something with her. Seeing Mingye in such a hurry, Lin Shu did not waste any words and headed towards the 2nd floor. However, as soon as she walked into the balcony, she was shocked by the scene in front of her. I saw Mingye standing on the balcony railing. In front of her, he jumped directly off. This series of actions surprised Lin Shu greatly. She hurriedly checked on Mingye, who was lying motionless on the ground. Lin Shu, who was Mingye's wife, unexpectedly smiled strangely. Immediately, she took out her phone and said to the person on the other end of the line, "Hurry up! He has fallen to his death!" A moment later, a blond man in a suit with glasses arrived at the scene. He is an assistant named Qinghai Fong Mingye. At this moment, Qinghai Fong was looking around in all directions. He saw that there was no one else around and walked towards the house. However, as soon as he entered the house, he was hugged by Lin Shu, who rushed over. "Luckily you were nearby. You came so quickly. At this moment, Qing Haifang, who was completely unaware, asked what was going on. Lin Shu said, "Don't worry. He fell to his death on his own. I absolutely did not touch him." Unexpectedly, that female Taoist looks young and beautiful, but her skills are quite powerful. She simply rearranged things inside the house, yet it can really cause someone's death. It seems that we cannot renege on the conditions we agreed to with her. Once we obtain control of the group, we will transfer the porcelain factory in the western suburbs to her right away. Qing Haifang on the side asked, "Are we safe in this room now?" "Of course we're safe. This setup is specifically for people like Mingya with a wood elemental fate. Neither of us are, so we're safe." Upon hearing Lin Shu say it's safe, Qing Haifang still cautiously suggested, "We should leave as soon as possible to avoid suspicion." However, Lin Shu insisted, "It's better to wait a little while longer. The floor is too low. I'm afraid he hasn't completely died out yet." He was unlucky to have just broken his neck. Even if he doesn't die, he's almost as good as dead. No one harmed him. It was his own carelessness. Looking in front of him, with fair skin and a beautiful appearance, Lin Su was already ecstatic about obtaining control of the company. Just as they were about to approach, the lights in the room suddenly went out. Startled, the two quickly looked up, only to see a figure floating in the air. Qing Haifang then looked with a light from his phone, and it turned out to be Mingya, who had just fallen from the building. At that moment, the two were both shocked to the core. On the side, Lin Shu even ran quickly to the balcony. She hurriedly checked the body on the ground. Watching the ghost of Mingya chasing after him, Lin Shu shouted, "Who are you? What can you do if you turn into a filthy thing? I will have the immortal maiden collect you." Just at that moment, a strange voice sounded. So it was like that. Just as there was a swishing sound, the scene around me changed suddenly. As the mist faded away, the figures of Luo Xie and Mingya also appeared. The two of them looked at the Mingya, who was right in front of them. Qing Haifang hurriedly looked downstairs. The body was gone. At this moment, Luo Xie said mockingly, "Both the beautiful dream and the nightmare can end now." It turned out that all of this had been Luo Xie's earthly ritual's dreamlike immortal realm. Seeing his trick exposed, Lin Shu turned the tables and shouted at Luo Xie, "It was you colluding with Mingya to play a trick on us just now. Was it a hallucinogen? What did you make us drink?" Faced with Lin Shu's actions, Luo Xie closed his eyes and whispered, "Ignorance is not a crime, but you are too noisy." Mingya on the side cursed. "Clearly the two of you colluded with someone, pretending to be mysterious and trying to harm me." "President Nya, you misunderstood. This place is not normal. We are trapped by illusions." Looking at the cunning face of Qing Haifang Mingya in front of me, I am angry to the extreme. I didn't misunderstand at all. Soon, a sound of footsteps came. A large number of bodyguards rushed over. The situation in front of Lin Shu scared him quite a bit. He shouted directly, "What do you want to do? If you dare to touch me, I will report to the police immediately." Seeing this scene, Mingya took out his phone directly. He opened the pre-saved recording and played the conversation where Lin Shu asked someone to harm Mingya in front of Qing Haifang. At this moment, Mingya said again, "You want to report to the police? Perfect. That's exactly what I have in mind." However, Lin Shu at this moment seemed to be in a bad mood. Sarcastically, he said, "Say whatever you want. Let's see how many people will believe you. Besides, you have nothing on you right now. Where is your injury?" Seeing the situation deadlocked, Luo Xie took out his phone and said, "I also agree to call the police." He then dialed Ying Zhao's phone number and briefly explained today's events to her. Luo Xie thought that the female Taoist in charge of arranging the formation might be an illusion created by Kei Yang to deceive them, or she could be a woman related to him. But the secret method he uses to harm people is derived from the authentic spiritual rituals of the Daoist sect, distorted and transformed, which aligns with what Kei Yang learned back then. Nowadays, it's rare to come across a new lead. The investigation bureau will definitely scrutinize this Lin Shu and the people she has been in contact with these days. After ending the call, Luo Xie calmly said, "Keep an eye on that person." Soon, someone came to take them away. Seeing that the situation was irreversible, Lin Shu's heart sank like it had plunged into the sea. On the side, Xinghai Fan awkwardly said, "President Ya, please give me a chance to explain. Things are not like that." However, before he could finish speaking, he was interrupted by Mingya. "We will talk later. Watch over the two of them." At this moment, Luo Xie walked alone to the middle of the bedroom and pinched his fingers to form a seal, only to see lightning falling around his body. The whole room was buzzing with the sound of electricity. Immediately afterwards, everyone heard a click. The gunmetal death strike formation in the bedroom was then broken. "You handle the remaining matters yourself. Remember to abide by the law. I do not want to be called in by the relevant authorities as a person related to the case." Mingyan naturally understood Luo Xie's words. Then, she said earnestly, "Daoist Master Xie, rest assured. I can remain calm. Thank you for your help this time. The corresponding reward will definitely not disappoint you." Luo Xie then casually said as he walked, "Feel free to do as you please. It seems that I won't have to worry about the issue of fictitious rent for the next 1 or 2 months." This statement left Mingya truly puzzled. At this point, Luo Xie asked again, "What's the deal with that western suburbs magnetic kiln Lin Shu mentioned earlier? And have you heard of that female Taoist?" Mingya replied, "I am certainly familiar with the western suburbs magnetic kiln. It produces over 50% of the porcelain for our Yunhe group. It can be said to be the foundation of our group. As for that female Taoist, I have never heard of her." Upon hearing this, Luo Xie said, "Since that's the case, I'll go take a look at the western suburbs porcelain kiln first." After saying that, he asked Mingya to send over the address. However, when Luo Xie saw the distance displayed on the phone, he immediately became unsettled. The straight line distance is 12 kilometers. The scene immediately changes. A luxury car is speeding down the road. After receiving a phone call, Ma Xiaoba in the car immediately heads to Clearstream Garden in Qingchuan town, where Luo Xie is located. She just found out that it's less than a kilometer away. She then said to the driver that they would not go to Clearstream Garden. "Stop at the tea house in front. I'll have a cup of tea." After entering the tea house, Horfrostma took out his phone and waited for Luo Xie's next instructions. Not long after, a waiter quickly brewed a pot of tea and brought it over. Looking at the tea in the cup, Horfrostma was about to taste it. The phone in his hand rang. When he took a closer look, it was a call from Patriarch Xie. "I have resolved the matter on my end. Now I am going to a new place. I have sent you the address." After listening to the content of the phone call, indeed, Horfrostma went on a rampage directly. "What? You're moving again? I just sat down here. Aren't you deliberately teasing people?" Luo Xie did not say that I was messing with you. I was just reminding you of my schedule out of friendship. As for what you want to do, it's up to you. However, just as Horfrostma was about to continue speaking, the phone was already hung up by Xie Luo. Seeing this, Horfrostma had to enter the new location again. When he saw the distance, he almost cried. This is another location more than 10 kilometers away. Immediately, she took out a stack of cash. After putting it down, she hurriedly ran outside. At this moment, the waiter was left bewildered by Horfrostma's swift movements. "Miss, you haven't even taken a sip of your tea yet." Looking at the untouched tea on the table, the waiter asked in surprise, "Is it brewed poorly?" As the scene shifted, Luo Xie had just stepped outside when he heard a ding sound.